they're only going to be so valuable if they're not all connected eventually. So I think that's all I've got for right now, but would be happy to take questions.
Do you imagine that this might eventually take a similar path, such as the Logan Square kind of circle reimagination, where once the city signs on, that we go through a design iteration process where the community can start being involved and have some feedback? Once, of course, the city signs on. But.
Yeah, definitely. And we really want to grow our coalition so that we have connections to neighborhoods all along the river for precisely that reason, so that when there's a chance to be pushing for community input, we can be a good ally.
I imagine, did anyone here attend those meetings at all at Logandale Elementary? They were great. Like I went to all of them, and they were fundamentally amazing to be able to have feedback and have a say in your community's active transit. So thank you.
Yeah, sure.
That's the Milwaukee Avenue.
Yeah, I don't know if everyone heard you down here.
Oh, sorry.
This is for the long.
I don't know that I can repeat exactly what I just said. Basically, the reimagining the Logan Square Circle, so where Milwaukee cuts through at the Logan Square Monument. There were a series of several meetings at Logan Square Elementary to look at reimagining how people on bikes, in cars, and on pedestrian paths would actually activate that area. And ultimately, I think it ended up resulting in a pretty nice plan that looked at everyone and how they can safely engage in that space. And it was a very long process, and I don't know where that sits as far as like completion and activation, but it was encouraging to see the amount of community impact, the amount of community that was involved in that.
Yeah, absolutely. That was led by the Chicago Department of Transportation.
Yep.
And I think the latest is they have like released their preferred alternative just a few months ago. So, yeah.
I don't know how much is figured out with this proposed trail, like getting the last outlet. Diversity is the idea to like continue the river path to diversity and like allow for easier crossing over the river, or is it still up in the air, the general path it would take?
Yeah, so we're envisioning as much as possible that the path goes along the river, but we also recognize that there might be certain sections that need to be done on street. So some of it's going to depend on how much available land is there, but we're also thinking about access to the river itself. We actually led a project last year that looked at a high cross stretch of Logan Boulevard that connects to the river at Diversey and proposed some ideas for making access easier for people walking and biking. So access, trails, if they're not accessible, their values limited as well. So access is another thing that we're looking at too. So, and then just, you mentioned Diversey. There's going to be trails as part of the Lincoln Yards development. So there'll be a gap between sort of the trail at Lathrop Homes and then down to where Lincoln Yards starts at Portland. So that's another area. Hopefully we can get a grant to kind of look at that area next year.
Is this going to connect at the north to the North Branch at some point?
Yeah, we're envisioning a connected trail along the North Channel, the North Branch, the main branch downtown, and then the South Branch, kind of from from Lake Street downtown all the way south to Western Avenue. So in the downtown area, the city's already looking at extending the Riverwalk from Lake Street down to Pingtown Park. So we're hopeful that after that happens, we can figure out a plan and connect further south.
Have you looked at all how Des Moines has done that recently? They just recently, in the last 5 or 10 years, have completely redone their rivers and all their trail systems to really get the whole community involved and create just numerous, like a huge trail system. It spans hundreds of miles now.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll take a look at it. I'm a little bit more familiar with like Philadelphia and Columbus and some other cities, but thanks for flagging that.
Any connection I can do to help there, that's where I'm from. So.
Awesome. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Great. I'd be happy to stick around. I'm also an Avondale resident, so it's really great to connect.
Yep.
Yeah.